Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another AutoCentral show, and AutoTrader's number one show on YouTube, on anywhere else. And my name is George Mienie, host of your show, and I've got with me, as usual, Wandile Sishi. How are you, Wandi?
Not so bad. Thank you for that wonderful intro. It's been an awesome week because Hamilton just signed a new deal. So, I don't know how you want to take that.
With Mercedes.
With Mercedes, yeah, he signed a 1-year deal. So the stresses have diminished a little bit.
What, for Mercedes or for Hamilton?
For me specifically, because I had no idea if he was gonna, sign or not.
Oh, okay. Well, he has to lose at some point. Anyway, so just a reminder, we can find the podcast, you can find the podcast where?
AutoCentral.com. Every Monday at 9, we stream live. But that's just the audio. So if you want to see our faces, you can find us on the AutoTrader South Africa YouTube channel. And if you want to stream just the audio later on, you can also find us on Spotify as well as Apple Music. And basically any streaming sort of service with podcasts, you can probably find us.
Yeah, just Google AutoCentral and you'll be fine.
Yeah, just search AutoTrader.
Exactly.
Or AutoCentral and you'll find us.
You'll be fine. So in today's episode, we'll be unpacking the series of events which are literally signifying the biggest shift or change in the motoring industry, environment, world, wherever way you want to look at it, from horses to internal combustion engines over the last 100 years. This show, we are joined also by Lawrence Minnie, no relation to me, in a review of a brand new SUV, which is taking its place squarely within the most turbulent body type segment in the market today. And lastly, we'll be answering some of your motoring questions sent to us via the Ask AutoTrader platform. So getting right into it, 1D, turning the tide on the history books, I suppose, is a good name for this show. And it's not every day that we can think or even experience drastic changes, and specifically in automotive. For the last 140 years, we've been pretty much the same. We've got better and better and incrementally better, but manufacturers have improved ICE vehicles or internal combustion engine vehicles. Car brands have strategized, brands have risen, brands have fallen. Cars have risen, cars have fallen. But we've always done one thing since horses, and that's drive internal combustion engine cars. So kicking it off, what do you think?
I mean, it's crazy, right? It's 140 years we've kind of experienced just the internal combustion engine. That's basically when you thought about transportation and driving and mobility. That was it, right? But now we've kind of been forced to rethink everything we knew. And like you said, it doesn't really happen where we have to go through a change and we're forced to kind of change the way we think about things. And right now it's happening.
It's absolutely happening.
Living in that reality.
Calling it the fourth transportation revolution, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first one was walking, right? And the second one was the horse and carriage. The third was the ICE vehicle. And now it's this new age sort of EVs and, non-combustion engines and alternative mobility. And it's happening right now. We're living in that reality.
Well, basically tell us what an ICE vehicle is.
So basically an ICE car is a car that requires an engine that goes boom, essentially. So that's where there's an internal combustion which is causing an explosion in the vehicle. And that basically makes the car move. And I think the best way to think about it is it's noisy, it's loud, it actually goes boom. And that's, a very, very, very crass definition of what an internal combustion engine is. But
I like it because it's kind of like you've got a bomb in the engine constantly.
Yeah, literally.
Something
all the
that's
time.
Exploding.
Every few milliseconds there's an explosion.
There's an explosion and it makes a terrible noise. For those that like, I love the sound of the V8, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, once that novelty is worn off, it's just noise. It's noise pollution.
It's just noise.
Yeah.
I know you're very passionate about that. That's one of the things where you kind of why are you such an advocate for EVs? Is that noise, you know?
Well, besides
I have
the
a neighbor
besides the carbon emissions, besides the carbon emissions, there's noise pollution that we can solve.
Yeah.
What about your neighbor?
So my neighbor has it's not a car, but he has a Harley Davidson, and every because now we're working from home, it just scares me all the time, you know. So I can completely vouch for that. But I love the sound of a car. I love car noises.
I have a friend who even has a T-shirt that says "proudly spreading my carbon footprint."
That's a terrible T-shirt.
It's terrible, terrible, terrible. If he's watching this show, I don't like your T-shirt, China. Proudly spreading my carbon.
You gotta hide your friends.
You gotta, that friend particularly. But anyway, so because it's revolutionary and will ultimately change how we move from A to B in the future, this sort of change hasn't happened for about 160 years. I think it's so cool to be alive. And my question is, Wandile, do you think Tesla was the catalyst for this move to EVs?
Man, that's one of the most asked questions. I think a lot of people kind of give Tesla the credit for catalyzing EVs and this new age sort of mobility thinking. But, I think it goes further back to that. I think the Prius, for me personally, was when I realized that, okay, something is happening here, But yeah, look, let's be honest. I think Tesla made it a reality. It's the brand that put it in people's hands, and it looks good. It's not like this boxy thing. So yeah, they deserve some of the credit, definitely.
There is a very famous celebrity that coined the term. I didn't come up with this. The Prius is a lunchbox.
Yeah.
Do you know who said that?
It's not who said that?
Ahmed.
Said that which Ahmed?
Ahmed, the dead terrorist.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I even ask that?
Which
I'm
terrorist? Embarrassed. Ahmed, the dead terrorist, said that because his puppet master drove a Prius. Anyway, so, it's happening right now. And EVs and hybrid technology is something which I, as you said, am very passionate about for the last couple of years. I'm so glad it's happening in my lifetime. Early prototypes were frankly not great. And battery technology was the problem. Batteries, believe it or not, Wandile, the electric vehicle concept and car was actually invented before the ICE vehicle.
Yeah, actually, I remember you telling me that a while back, and it's so mind blowing to think about, right? It's been like being innovated and evolved since before the ICE vehicle, and it's hard to just wrap your head around that.
Well, the problem at the time was the batteries. Batteries were the problem. It wasn't the electric motor. I mean, the electric motor is a simple concept. It was literally the batteries, and since we've been through the last 130 years, the batteries have improved, and therefore Tesla could do what they did. I mean, you're slightly younger.
I won't lie, the ICE vehicle gave me some of my biggest passions. It gave me Lewis Hamilton, it gave me Formula One, hybrid, and a lot of things that are tied to what a car is has been because of the ICE vehicle. And I think I was just born at a time where it's at its best sort of moment. And now, I can't deny the fact that things are changing, and it's not efficient. It's really just not the best way that we can be having mobility and driving.
So let me just bust a myth quickly. A lot of people say, you have to have a coal power station to power an electric vehicle because you've got to charge it. And most of electricity now comes from, coal power stations in South Africa. So, electric vehicles are just as dirty as ICE vehicles. There's a couple of reasons why that's not the case and won't be the case in the future. The first reason is ICE vehicles are only about 20% efficient. That means that the power, thing that goes boom in the engine compartment, does not deliver all its power that is in that explosion onto the vehicle's wheels. Whereas it's the opposite for an electric vehicle. The majority, up to 80% of the power delivered onto the wheels through the electric motor is generated by the storage charge in the battery. So there's a massive efficiency gain in an electric vehicle. So the amount of coal that you have to burn for an electric vehicle versus the inefficiency of the fuel, that already reduces the carbon emissions significantly. So therefore, I don't buy this nonsense that electric vehicles are still putting carbon emissions into the air. Yes, they are, because we're still using coal power stations. But that is changing very fast, because I read something on IOL the other day. Was it IOL or one of the other platforms, my broadband, not IOL, I lie.
Yeah.
So I read on my broadband the other day that it's actually becoming cheaper to run your electricity needs from solar power than it is from Eskom. So we'll put those links out there, but it's actually becoming cheaper now. So this whole thing about electric vehicles being
more like dangerous,
well, besides more dangerous, like, still dirty.
Just running dirty.
It's much more efficient. Much more efficient. How do you see that?
There's no denying it. There's so much research that has gone into this, and don't forget that this is the early stages. We're still very early in what the EV can do, and I think once the whole world goes electric or solar or whatever, more sustainable, all of these things are going to go away completely, and it's not just going to solve the mobility issues. It's going to solve so many more issues. It's not just about driving. Something that Formula E highlighted is that it's not just about driving. It's way bigger than that. There's bigger conversations that are happening, and a quick fix, or one of the fixes, is just going electric, and going hybrid or going different, not combustion engine, basically.
Exactly. So brands like Kia, BMW, Audi, VW, Citroen, Nissan, Minnie, Toyota, and the list goes on, recently underwent massive brand and redesign language changes to draw inspiration, sustainability, simplicity, digitization, and electric vehicle evolution to try and capture the essence of our future. But Ford just announced a dramatic acceleration of its investment push into electric vehicles. The car maker plans to deepen collaborations and technology with technology giants on the increased digitization of driving. How much are they investing, Wandile?
330 billion rand.
Did you say billion?
330 billion rand. I don't know how to even fathom just how massive that is.
That's huge.
That's it's a serious investment. It's a serious sign that, guys, it's changing. This is the direct, whether you like it or not, it's happening. And we're living in that. We're living in this, imagine when, there were sellers of horses and carriages, and then all of a sudden Mercedes or whoever came with the ICE vehicle and was like, here's this new technology. That's what we're sitting in right now. That's what we're experiencing. And these huge companies putting this sort of money into the future is a sure sign that things are changing.
Well, that's $22 billion US. That's that's the investment through to 2025. Ford's rival General Motors set a target of having the most of its fleet emissions free by 2035. If you listen to what General Motors is saying, is it will invest $7 billion US in EVs through to 2025. So these companies are putting a lot of money behind EVs. I would imagine, I think Tesla started all of this, and hopefully Tesla finishes all of this and remains the market leader. That's my hope. But you know what? As long as the planet turns green, it doesn't matter who the market leader is going to be.
I have a question for you just before we kind of end off this.
I have a question.
It's something that you asked me last week. So now I'm going to turn the tide and ask you the same thing. Mm-hmm. Do you think South Africa is ready? Do you think we're going to hit those deadlines then?
So I think I can answer that question from 2 points of view. The first one is the South African consumer is definitely ready. All you need to do is look into the study that AutoTrader did last year, 2020, during lockdown. We did a study into consumer demand for electric vehicles. And there is an overwhelming 60% of consumers will buy EVs within the next 3 to 5 years. Okay.
Yep.
We have a problem. And that problem is we need an EV under 500,000 Rand that can charge overnight in your home. The charging bit, not a problem. There's the misconception that people need to destination charge. Let's put that to one side. So we need a car under 500,000 Rand. In order to get a car under 500,000 Rand, we need government incentives. The government regulation needs to change around taxes of imports, as well as incentivizing OEMs to manufacture EVs in South Africa. If the government does come to the party, then I think we will make the deadlines, and we won't miss the 2030 deadline that the UK has put on the table. We won't miss the 2035 and 2040 deadline that some of the other countries in Europe have put on the deadline on the table. 60% of our vehicles are exported that we manufacture. So we are a net exporter of new vehicles. Our economy is too small to sustain the number of vehicles that we manufacture. So to answer your question directly, consumers are ready. I think the industry is ready. The government hasn't come to the party yet. And therein lies the risk.
And it's happening.
Yes. If we don't get some of the regulations changed, I think that we will begin to lose some of that 60% and hopefully not all of it. So I think 2021 is going to be the telltale sign of the future of the automotive industry in this regard. Hope that answers your question, Wendy.
It definitely does. It definitely does. One thing is certain though, we're living in crazy times,
exciting
and we're
times,
experiencing a revolution. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's what a time to be alive.
Okay, so moving on to the new kid on the block, and I'm going to invite Lawrence Mienie into the show. Lawrence Mienie, one of our expert journalists at AutoTrader, is going to tell us about the new Suzuki Vitara Brezza. Did I say that right, Lawrence? Welcome.
Hi, George. Yes, you did. Brezza.
This is a brand new car, right? This just released.
Yeah, Tuesday last week. So it is very, very fresh. It has been out in India for a number of years. South Africa had to wait to get their allotment. But yes, it has finally landed, and it is pretty much amazing.
So I know that you're not a massive Suzuki fan, Lawrence. I've been working with you long enough to know that. But you're pretty impressed with this car.
Absolutely. The market segment that it's playing in is very, very busy and is going to become a lot busier in the coming months, weeks and months. And in all honesty, this vehicle is so un-Suzuki, it's just not funny. So I rate it very highly.
Okay. Or maybe this is the new Suzuki and not necessarily un-Suzuki.
The Suzuki of the future.
Yeah.
Well, here's hoping.
So
overall,
how did you find the driving experience of it?
As you mentioned, I'm not really that big a fan of Suzuki because the cars they're K cars. They're small, compact little cars. The entire range is small, compact city cars, and they're cheaply made. So, you have low expectations for a small, compact, cheap city car. And when I got into the Brezza and drove it around the block the first time, I was just gobsmacked. When I say the vehicle is so un-Suzuki, this feels like something that was built in Europe for European consumers, using the Hyundai Venue as a measuring stick, because that is, as you well know, I rated it very, very highly last year. It was one of my favorite drives of last year. And this Brezza is on par with the Venue. It is almost a carbon copy of the vehicle, and that is why I rate it so highly. It's just an absolutely amazing drive. And when you consider what price Suzuki managed to get this thing here, I don't know. The model I drove was the 1.5 GLX 5-speed manual transmission. That comes in at 289,900 Rand, which is almost exactly where I thought it would be. And it is about 53,000 Rand cheaper than its closest competitor. So yes, definitely ready to ruffle some feathers.
Wow. Okay. So in a world where established brands and models in this particular market segment, the fastest growing globally, it sounds like Suzuki is differentiating themselves a little bit.
Well, this is the thing, and what I think a lot of people don't realize is that Suzuki actually pioneered the segment. The Vitara came out 25, 30 years ago, and that was the original compact SUV.
Oh, wow.
For them to now come out with the latest version of it, it's...
Is this an SUV?
Yeah. No. I would call it a subcompact crossover with SUV styling. It's 4 meters is the magic number. So anything that a car that's under 4 meters in length would be a subcompact. 4 meters over is compact. And then 4.5 meters, that becomes a mid-size SUV.
So what would you have called the short wheelbase Pajero in the past? Because that was under 4 meters, right? A dream car. That vehicle had something that your subcompact crossovers don't, and that is all-wheel drive and an off-roading system. So with this vehicle, I would say city driving, the odd occasional gravel road, and if you really pushed it, you could probably do the Otaniqua Pass down in George. Other than that, I don't think you could really call this an SUV because, at 189 millimeters of ground clearance, you'll be able to get over pavements and things, and maybe a few low-lying rocks, but I wouldn't try taking it off road. More of a crossover.
Very much, yes.
Okay, and I think you mentioned the price. What is this model going for?
Okay, so at the moment, Suzuki has 4 derivatives of the vehicle. So they have a GL manual and the GL Auto, and then they have the GLX manual and GLX Auto. The vehicles that have the autos come with a 4-speed automatic gearbox, and then entry level. So it'll be missing a few of the nicer features that we found in the GLX, coming in at 244,900 Rand. And most expensive on the far side, which is only a few thousand Rand cheaper than the standard Vitara, is the GLX 4-speed auto at 309,900. So it's called a 310,000. So
I heard that there's
price variation there.
I saw that there's been whispers that this exact platform, Toyota's going to be releasing something similar. Is that just a rumor? Did I hear you correctly?
Quite on point. So as I alluded to earlier, this market segment is going to get so busy in the next few weeks. We have Renault Kiger, the Nissan Magnite, the Toyota Urban Cruiser. There's another 2 or 3 others that are still to be announced, but we know that they're all competing for consumers' money in the the less I say about the Urban Cruiser, the better. I want to see just how identical it is. I know that it has a different face on it, so it has a different front bumper, different lights, and of course, how much is Toyota going to be able to land them for? Because I know they're both coming out of the same factory, but it all depends on the moolah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's the Suzuki Vitara Brezza. But before you go, Lawrence, your score out of 10?
Well, like I said, because I rate the Hyundai Venue as highly as I do, I'm going to give the Brezza a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Wow. We haven't got many 9s there, right, Wendy?
Not many.
Maybe like 1 or 2.
That's just testament to just how good this vehicle is. And I cannot urge consumers more. Go to your dealership, take this for a drive. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, well, there you have it. The Suzuki Vitara Brezza. And as usual, you can find them on AutoTrader, South Africa's largest and most trusted marketplace for motoring. And go along to our content section and go and browse the features and the opinions from our motoring experts and journalists like Lawrence Mienie. So thank you very much, Lawrence. Appreciate your time, and see you on the next drive.
See you next week.
All right, so we're on to our next piece. Wandile, everyday people send AutoTrader some motoring-related questions, all things car buying and selling. And we usually pick about 3 of those, and we try and answer the questions on our AutoCentral show. So, Wandile, what is the first question we have?
So the first question comes from Nami, who basically just said SUV, petrol, or diesel. So Nami is looking for an SUV, which is going to be used mostly for town driving. But they also want something that's a little bit capable for when they go on holiday. And they've kind of shortlisted a few cars, being the X-Trail, the Renault Kadjar, the Qashqai, and the Renault Duster. So basically, what's the best here? What's the best option for them?
Well, Nami, you said it was, hey, Wandile?
Correct.
Nami, because you mentioned that this car will be mostly used in town, for town driving, we would advise against a diesel engine like the Duster or the Qashqai or the X-Trail, unless your daily commute is at least or more than 15 kilometers away. This is because the diesel particulate filter, which can become clogged over short distances. So you'd be in for a bit of maintenance if you chose to drive a diesel vehicle. The petrol Duster, on the other hand, loses a bit of torque, but will definitely go further without presenting mechanical issues. So that would be the advice: is don't go for diesel if it's short distances. If it's short distances, definitely go for petrol. Next question, Wandile.
Okay. Very interesting. So the next question comes from Aretha, who's basically just said reselling a car. They recently just bought a Golf 7.5, and they got the car financed under balloon payments, and they just kind of realized that this was a terrible idea. They don't want the car anymore, but they've only driven it for 17K, so it's brand new. What options do they have in terms of potentially downgrading or selling the vehicle?
Aretha. Oh, jeez, I feel for you. This is why we say do your research, do your research.
Yeah.
Test drive. Make sure that the car that you are going to buy is the one you want. From a finance point of view, from an aesthetic point of view, from a power point of view, because unfortunately, Aretha, you're not in a very good position here. Car's done 17 kilometers. When you drive that brand new car off the showroom floor, it immediately becomes a used car. You can't go back.
Yeah.
There's no going back on this.
Yeah.
So your situation is very unfortunate, Aretha, and you're unfortunately stuck with this car. That's your first option. Alternatively, if you sell it, you are going to you're going to be paying some money in, and that's difficult situation to be in. But so for everyone else, the longer you finance your car, the longer period you finance your car over, the longer it's going to take for you to get that finance underneath the value of the car. Okay, so if you finance a car over 3 years, say, and you want to get out of that car after 15, 18 months, chances are you would have paid down more on the installments and on the value of the finance than what the car is worth, which means that the car is going to be more than likely worth, depending on the make and model, more than likely worth more than what you owe on the finance. If you finance the car over a 5-year period, say, chances are you're not going to get underneath that finance within 18 months. It's going to take you a little bit longer. If you finance the car over a 7-year period, it's going to take you even longer to get underneath the value of that car with the value of the finance. And it gets even worse if you do a balloon payment. So stay within your means. Buy the car over as short a period as you can and pay it down as fast as you can, because the last thing you want is to be stuck in Aretha's position. Good question, Wandile, but I feel for Aretha.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, the 7.5, the Golf, the Volkswagen Golf, it's a good car.
It's a very good car.
Maybe just carry on driving it.
Exactly.
And you might just end up falling in love with it.
True.
Last question comes from Nathan, who said that they would like to trade in or sell a finance car. So basically what happened here is Nathan has fallen on difficult financial times, but they've only had the car for 1 year. So they just want to know what are their options in terms of potentially selling or trading in the vehicle.
Well, I think I just answered that in Retha's case, right, Wandile?
Very similar.
Very, very similar circumstance. The car's 1 year old. It depends. Do you have a balloon payment? How long did you finance the car over? And get a settlement value from the bank. And quite often the banks do have penalty interest if you want to settle the car early, but that's okay. You just ask your bank if you can get out of that settlement penalty. But the more important thing is get a settlement value from the bank, and then go onto AutoTrader.co.za and go and see what the retail price of the car is. We've got a new valuation tool on autotrader.co.za, which you can go and check out. But that's retail. And then you can test the water with our new product, and you can get offers from dealers, which will give you the trade value of the car. And you can compare those 3 price points: the value of your finance, the value of the trade-in via offers from dealers on our trade-in product, and then thirdly, just go and see what the retail price is on autotrader.co.za, and then you can make your decisions from that. Those are your options. And if you are going to have to pay in, like Wendy says, maybe you should consider carrying on driving the car.
Yeah, no, lots of information there, lots of valuable information. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's all we have time for, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, thank you, Wandile Sishi, for joining us on AutoCentral. My name is George Mienie. See you next time.